Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about scalloped borders. That is definitely a question I get emailed to me pretty frequently, and I've been replying back for quite a while. Oh, we're going to do a video about that. Oh, we're going to do a video about that. Well, here's the video about that. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll share all about scalloped edges for your quilts. Okay, I'm going to start today just by sharing my Flowers for Emma quilt. This is actually the first quilt that I did a scalloped border on. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I really felt like this quilt just would really benefit with a scalloped border. And it was first published in American Patchwork and Quilting magazine. And so I remember calling my friend Val, who actually did the quilting on this, and asking her for tips because she had done scalloped borders before. And one of the tips she gave me is one that I'll be sharing with you actually later, but she told me to use a single fold bias binding. And I just wanted to show, it's such a neat little binding here, and really was happy that she shared that tip with me. So I knew that I needed to use a bias binding because of the curves, but I hadn't really thought about using a single fold. And so I just wanted to be sure and show this to you now, how it just lays really nice. And I feel like if there were 2 layers, it wouldn't be quite as nice. Okay, so this was my first attempt at a scallop border, and I loved it, but I haven't made one again till now. So I actually came up with a project that was a little bit smaller so I could just give you kind of a little step-by-step as to what I did. Okay, what I decided to do was to remake my window box quilt. This is was in my Labor of Love book. This book is now out of print, but I do have this pattern available as a PDF for you to download to make this quilt. But I made this quilt using, it was pretty scrappy from a lot of our collections, but I did go ahead and remake it using our Delightfully Yours collection, and wanted to show you with this group the scalloped borders. So when you make a scalloped border, you actually draw your scallops on your fabric and then you quilt it. So you don't cut them out until after it's been quilted. I think I did share this in my works in progress maybe a couple months ago, but I have gotten it back from the quilter. It's quilted. I haven't yet cut it. I'm actually going to cut that for you today. But I wanted to also show you what I used. And I used the Quilt in a Day template for making vines, scalloped, and waves on quilts of any size. And I love this tool. It is a fantastic, fantastic tool. It has a line that you can use to line up your quilt, and it has a book that explains everything to you. It has a couple examples on the back of scallops and waves, and it also can be used to do vine and leaf borders to just kind of help you know how to position when you're appliquing. So this ruler is super helpful and has a lot of information, and it does give you a step-by-step. There is actually a formula page in here that you use, and you kind of decide about how many scallops you want. You measure your border and you decide how you're going to divide that so that it comes out closest to being even. Now on my Flowers for Emma quilt that I showed you at the beginning, I did 8-inch scallops. I did them the full width of this for that quilt. And for this one, I actually did a little bit smaller. I went about 7.5. But you can actually line this ruler up. There's a line that you can line up for a scallop with the outside edge of your quilt, and you can use this to get your curve drawn. Now what you do is you end up I put little dots because I wasn't going the full 8.5. So I put little dots where I wanted my points to be, and then I used the ruler, and I just used a pencil to trace those lines, and took it to my quilter, and she did her magic. At the corners, you can actually, what I did was I just ran the scallop into each other. So in other words, there was a scallop going like this. Get my 7.5. I drew it to there. I had this lined up right on the edge of my fabric, and then I just did the exact same thing there and lined it up. And when I cut this, I will just kind of make it a real soft cut at the edge. I'm actually going to grab some scissors and go ahead and just cut this now, because then I'm to the point where all I have left to do is add my binding. Okay, I went and grabbed my scissors. I am going to cut this with scissors. I just feel like I'll be able to be a lot more accurate. You could use a rotary cutter as well, but I'm just going to start, I guess I'm just going to start right here. And I'm just going to go right. I'm just going to just cut right. I know it feels a little crazy, right? You're cutting your quilt. But this is going to give me just these beautiful scallops that I will need to just bind. One thing I did want to say, that if you weren't doing custom quilting on your quilt, I feel like it might not be as important to draw the scallops first. I was having custom quilting, and so she really needed to know where those scallops were exactly going to be so that she could do custom quilting. But if you were just doing an all-over design, I guess it wouldn't really matter. You could actually probably quilt your quilt and then add those scallops. Okay, so there you go. I've cut it all out. I can't wait to get this bound. I did want to mention a couple of things that I noticed. Don't worry about what you use to mark your scallops, because you're cutting those lines off. I ended up using just a regular pencil when I marked my lines, and they either get cut off or they will be covered up by your binding. Even here's like one of my original little dots that I used to mark the centers of my quilt, and that's what I actually did. I marked the centers and then I did the scallops out. One other thing I didn't mention before is the width of the single fold bias binding. You're only going to cut those strips at 1 1/4 inches to get the look like I showed you for my Flowers for Emma quilt. So 1 1/4 inches wide, single fold. And you're just going to apply it just like regular binding. Because you're using the bias fabric, it will just kind of naturally bend in your curves, and it's actually just the same technique. I actually did sew this front side on by machine and flipped it over to the back and turned under that edge and then did my hand stitching. So I'm super excited to get this bound. As I mentioned, I will share it with you when I share my July works in progress and have it all finished and ready to go. I love the scallop edges. I would say the larger the scallop, the easier. It's just a more gentle curve and it makes it easier all around. So I would kind of look at the project that you're doing and use the largest size scallop that you can. One thing too, this quilt is quite a bit bigger, but the scallops are a really similar size. So I just feel like this tool, this Quilt in a Day Scallops, Vines, and Waves tool is just a really nice size that would work for anything. You can also purchase plastic templates, probably from your local quilt shop. If you don't want to buy this ruler and just kind of do the math, mark your midpoints, figure out how many scallops you're going to have, and you could probably even use a bowl to draw your lines if you had all of your points matched. But the thing that makes this really nice is having this line to line up right on the edge of your quilt. I feel like that helps make them more uniform. So anyway, I hope that if this is a technique you haven't tried, that you will try it one day. Okay, so that's it for just a really quick and simple tutorial on how to make a scallop border using the Quilt in a Day template. Although, as I mentioned earlier, you really could use any other template or a bowl. It's just a matter of really deciding how many scallops you want and kind of an approximate size and going from there. But this template does make it a breeze. I will be getting this bound very quickly, and I will share the finished quilt with you when I share my July works in progress. So I hope that you will try this technique if you haven't already. And if you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.